I'm Colby Smith. Poppies, I'm fucking sick of it. Poppies are propaganda. I don't care what anyone says, you know, and you can't say that. You can't say that to the average person on the streets. You can't say to them that poppies are propaganda. You know, when people died for your right to say that, you know, if they hadn't died for your right, you wouldn't even be able to say that. But, you know, they died for my right to fucking say that. You know, the people in the war didn't die just so, you know, only the people that were right had the, you know, the freedom of speech. They died for everyone, opposing views. So don't give me that shit about they died, so I'm not allowed to say anything bad about World War I or II. Come on, it's like basic nationalism, like at its core. You know, you don't have to talk about why we went to war. You don't have to talk about, you know, who sent us to war. You don't have to talk about, you know, the motives, who gained from war. All you need to know is people that look similar to you and spoke the same language as you died. That's all you need to know. That's all they want you to know. Don't ask any questions. And they try and pile all these wars into one. You know, you can't tell me that the people that fought, you know, against the Nazis, you know, we were actually going to get invaded. They were going to invade. They were bombing our homes, like, every night. You know, every single night. How often does London get bombed nowadays by the people in Iraq that we invaded, or the people in Afghanistan we invaded? Once in my lifetime has a bomb gone off in London. Once in my memorable lifetime. You know, so you can't tell me that all wars are the same. You know, World War I and World War II were just. That's what they say. And they were righteous wars. And then they just don't mention the other ones. And they just kind of assume that you've put them all in the same. You know, what? It's ridiculous. You know, we were actually under threat in World War II. You know, Hitler wanted us as an airfield. We were going to be airstrip 1 for them guys. And, you know, and why did we go to Iraq? For profit? Why did we go to Afghanistan? No one really knows. You know, you can't, I mean, I had to make this video because I came this close to just shouting at an old man on the street. Then I thought, you know, I felt bad because he's probably selling poppies. For him, you know, he's selling it for a good reason, you know, because he probably did have like brothers, friends, comrades that died next to him in the trenches, whatever, you know. But then the whole thing's just been hijacked, you know. Help for heroes and that. I don't doubt that they do an amazing job for people that have come back from the war, but, you know, as long as we're focusing our energy on feeling sorry for soldiers and remembering, you know, the evils of war, if we're focusing our energy on that instead of focusing our energy on how can we do our utmost to stop this from happening again, why don't we focus our energy, instead of giving money for poppies, why don't we focus our energy on stopping the fucking arms trade? You know, you got Great Britain, you got BAE Systems, who basically are the king daddy lobbyists of lobbying in this country. You know, they're the pinnacle, they're at the top. They basically dictate our armed forces. You know, BAE basically tell us where and when to spend our budget for our military. You know, if we speak out against people like that, then maybe I'll have, you know, the slightest feeling that our government is like really feels sorry for soldiers and the memory of dead soldiers. But when you got our government flogging off arms, old warships and fucking tornadoes, flogging them to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, you know, when we stop selling arms to countries like that, maybe I'll buy a poppy. But in the meantime, you know, I feel sorry for the old people on the street corners selling these poppies for like 10 pence each, you know, because they're doing it for the right reasons, but the reasons that our government just banging on about World War I, you know, to like try and amalgamate us into this one, you know, they're trying to make us this one culture, this one Britain, you know, this one single national identity. And I think to myself, what is our national identity. What is that? You know, I was in London at Occupy, and you look, all these tourists are coming around and taking pictures of Winston Churchill and saying, you know, the national icon, you know, he's our greatest ever war leader. And I think to myself, great war, those two words don't go together in a sentence. Great war leader, you know. It doesn't make sense. Shouldn't we have like a more like loving, compassionate leader than that? You know, Winston Churchill was famous for being stubborn, basically, and killing fuckloads of Germans. That's not really, I don't see that as like someone who's attention I want to focus on, you know. It's just nationalism, you know, making you proud. You know, if people weren't proud, I mean, what do they tell us? That every day, you know, we're fighting for GDP, you know, we're fighting for George Osborne's recovery. We've got to, you know, we've got to make Britain strong. We've got to have British growth. We need British jobs. We need British industrial, like, complexes building up, you know. And that's what they want to do. They want to make you think, you know, we've got to do everything for Great Britain. We've got to fight for Great Britain on the beaches, in the factories, in the fucking prison cells, you know. But once the whole population realises, you know, if a switch flicked and people realises, you know, we're not actually working for Great Britain as a whole. We're working for Great Britain, the few at the top, you know, the elite, and half of them probably ain't even British anyway. They're probably flinging their money offshore, bouncing it through bank accounts to dodge tax and shit. You know, I don't want to sound like I'm unpatriotic, but at the same time, you know, you're not born British. You're born a human being. You're only British because you're told you're British, you know. If no one mentioned England to you, you could be born in England. No one tells you you're English. No one tells you you're British. No one tells you the history of England. No one tells you of the wars, the battles and the sacrifices and all of that. No one tells you about that. You're not going to it's not built into your brain to be a patriot, because, you know, it's just luck that we're born in this country, or bad luck, some might say. You know, if you're born in America, they try and fill your brain up with American nationalism. If you're born in Germany, they try and fill your brain up with German nationalism. You know, it's just self-interest. You know, they just want you to be proud of your country. So instead of saying, hold on, fuck off, I'm not working for you lot, you're like, yeah, come, GDP, I gotta go to work today, I better set my alarm early tomorrow so I can go to work and boost GDP. You know, that's how really they want people to think. And, you know, this Poppies is just propaganda, it's just nationalism, you know, making you just feel sorry for these people that died so many years ago. And if you ask me, if the people that died for our freedom of speech, for our, you know, for our liberty, for our freedom of expression, you only think they'll be turning in their graves when they see Nigel Farage on the TV spouting his right-wing shit about immigrants and, like, benefit scroungers and making everybody focus on the individual, you know, self-promotion. That's not what they died for. Come off it. So yeah, when I see Tony Blair on the TV wearing his poppy whilst he's talking to like some sheikh in the Middle East, like flogging arms, while I see Prince Andrew like swanning off around the world with his poppy on, you know, setting up arms deals for BAE and all these other companies, you know, it's just two-faced. And what does it even represent? You got these poppy fields. Those represent the poppy fields in France or whatever, where they grew over the dead soldiers, the old battlefields. Yeah, I think when I think of a poppy, I think of all the opium and shit that America and the West have like flooded Afghanistan with and just making millions off nowadays. You know, that's what my generation of soldier died for. You know, oil and opium. That's not righteous. That's not just. You know, that's just basically sanctioned terrorism. You know, if any other like group or faction stormed into Iraq, stole the oil and started pumping it around the world like ISIS, you call them terrorists. But, you know, because America, because Great Britain, because Europe put that rubber stamp, approved violence. This violence is approved. We give you full permission for this violence to go on. And then everyone's like, yeah, right then, okay. I'll buy a poppy. It's fucking propaganda. Nationalism. You know, why we only think we need to, like, we should be, as human beings, as a species, we've got to the point of understanding and technology now where we should be breaking down borders. You know, not reminding ourselves why we fight for borders, like the deaths that went on. We should be, like, thinking of ways to dissolve the borders. We're just one race of people. We're not Germans, we're not British, we're not Irish, we're not African, European. You know, we're all people. But, you know, if you say that to someone, you sound like, oh, you bleeding heart liberal, you tree-hugging hippies. Well, you know, if we're not going to have a goal to reach to, what's the point of even trying to progress as a species, as a society? Thank you very much.